All right, top of the morning to you. Hey, today's reading will be Jeremiah, chapters 50 through 52. Let's hit it. So, now we've come to the end of Jeremiah. You've gathered from these videos, not a, not a huge fan of reading some of the stuff. Say, guys, just figure it out. Just get it right. But, I think what's done me some good has, slow down, spend time in the text. Generally, when I read Jeremiah or Isaiah, I'm reading a little bit quicker. And so I think in the past what I've heard is, some pastors saying, well, I read 22 chapters a day. Or I'm not going to worry about that stuff anymore. I'm not going to read the Bible like this going forward. Otherwise, I have to read more New Testament. I have to read more of the life of Christ and words of Paul and not just one a day. So I think after this whole year's over, my Bible reading will have changed and will change going forward. So Jeremiah 50 and 51 are prophecies against Babylon. Now, I'm going to show you just something different out of this. I'm not saying that this is what the Bible is saying, but however, there are people who point out that Jeremiah 50 and 51 sounds a lot like America. I'm not saying it is. My pastor would laugh at me for saying these things. Yeah, we can disagree. If you read Jeremiah 50 and you look down, head update. Look at that. So you look at Jeremiah 50, he's talking about war. He's talking about Babylon being attacked. Notice in verse 9, it says, their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. All of their arrows. Now, just that by itself doesn't seem important. I get it. Sorry. But then we go over here in verse 12. Your mother shall be sure confounded. Does Babylon have a mother? The U.S. kind of does. But look here. It says, the hindermost of nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. Babylon hasn't been around for a long time. Iraq is still there. But the United States is the hindermost of nations. You look down here at verse 16. And they shall flee every one to his own land. We are a nation full of immigrants. But look at verse 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder? Yeah, I guess that could be Babylon too, but if there's ever a hammer of the earth, it's us. And look at verse 26. Come against her from the utmost border. We have an utmost border. We have Alaska, which used to be Russia's. Notice in verse 37, a sword is upon their horses and upon their chariots and upon all the mingled people. That's how many. The Babylonians probably didn't have very many. Probably wasn't culturally diverse. But now remember the arrows we talked about a minute ago. Look now at chapter 51, and it says here in verse 1, a destroying wind. And that would, be if arrows, none return vain, and then a destroying wind. And so I've taught from this before. I think it's likely. Okay, should I say likely? I think there's an off chance that, the Bible's teaching about nuclear war here. And look at verse 7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. That is true concerning Babylon at that time, because Babylon was prepared, rich, and was both judgment and protector of Israel. However, that was a short span of time. The whole thing's talking about that short span of time. I get that. But now look at verse 8. It says here, Babylon is suddenly fallen. Revelation 18 talks about Babylon falling within an hour. That's tough. Verse 9. Let us go every one to his own country. Now verse 11. Make bright the arrows. Make bright the arrows. Again, could be a nuclear attack. Verse 13, O thou that dwellest upon many waters. We do that. We have territories all over the place. And you read through some other things through this chapter. Look at verse 53, though Babylon should mount up to heaven. We're doing that. Look at 56, because the spoiler has come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her men are taken. Every one of their bows is broken. In my mind, again, I'm not saying this is what has happened. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. But every one of their bows is broken. if we're talking about bows and arrows, that's not something that's going to happen. But imagine if somebody could hack into our nuclear arsenal, the software, and hack the whole system, and then attack us with a destroying wind. And again, I'm not saying that's what the Bible's saying. I just think it's interesting. So definitively, these two chapters are talking about Babylon at the time and the judgment that's going to come because of how they've attacked Israel and Judah, even though it was of God's design. All right, then you get chapter 52, and it shows a little bit more of a time frame. Now remember, the 70 years, although we call it 70 years, there's not an exact beginning and end point. There are 3 different carryings away, and here you have the final one. You have 3 returns. But here you see Zedekiah carried away. His children is killed before him, eyes poked out, and then he's left to rot in a prison. But however, then you see there the 37th year of Jehoiachin's captivity, he is brought out by the king Evilmerodach of Babylon. So we're talking, I think, about Nebuchadnezzar's grandson. I guess I should have spent a little bit more time studying Evilmerodach. Come to find out, he was Nebuchadnezzar's son, but not his oldest son, and they fought. Matter of fact, Evilmerodach was imprisoned. So it's thought, you can go look it up at Wikipedia, that that's where he met Jehoiachin. And so then they would have become friends in prison, and so that's where the elevation would come from. Interesting. Ends up bringing him out of prison and treats him nicely until the end of his life. You know what I just thought of? Lamentations is next. Alright, we're going to make a call on this. I'll make a video tomorrow, but we're going to read Lamentations in one day. 5 chapters. It's poetry. It's just basically Jeremiah sitting on the curb watching what is being talked about here in chapter 52 and writing it down. Alright, so we'll do that tomorrow. I'll still make a video, so still looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great day.